What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 review, and we're back already with another Supersizer review. We're taking a look at the third entry in the line, and this time it is Pinocchio. Everyone's favorite, well, he's not a real boy yet. This is specifically the puppet version, so he's a real toy. He's a real toy. So we're taking a look at the Supersize Pinocchio. And this guy, of course, comes in the same style of box that Ben Ali came in, that we looked at already, and they're all kind of themed the same. So it's that gold foil outline, you've got the character's name there in gold, you've got the red kind of maroon chromed out silhouette of the figure there on the front, and then it's almost like a curtain motif, like the curtains are being pulled back, lights being shown down upon them, and you've got your figure there. So pretty premium box. I mean, that's definitely part of the appeal here, is the packaging on its own is incredibly premium and very much, you know, a little bit more ostentatious, definitely a little bit more gaudy, but I think it's pretty cool, and it certainly makes it hard to even want to consider throwing something like this away. I still don't know where I'm going to put one, let alone two of these boxes, but it makes for a good presentation when it comes to packaging. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull this little guy out, take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Super 7 Supersize Pinocchio. So, hot off the heels of Disney Ultimates Wave 1, we are already getting into the realm of seeing Ultimates and Supersize figures, you know, kind of exist at the same time. And Pinocchio's that first iteration of something like that. Ben Ali will get an Ultimates later on, but Pinocchio is already out in both formats, and it's pretty wild to see them both right next to each other. We will of course do some size comparisons quickly. I'll do a size comparison with them later on. But this guy's pretty wild. He has more soft goods, I guess. Yeah, I suppose there's probably more soft goods here than Ben Ali has when it comes to, you know, just overall amount of fabric. There's definitely a little bit more complexity when it comes to this guy, when it comes to the soft goods. And he also is a little bit more articulated, too. We'll get to that here in a minute. But right off the bat, I mean, as with Ben Ali Gator, this guy is, I mean, he's literally all about the aesthetic, the overall design, your familiarity and interest in this type of figure, you know, in this type of collectible. And try to not say toy, because it's not exactly a toy. It is, but it isn't. You know, he's certainly not a real boy. He's a real toy right now. But it's a very expensive collector piece. It's not something that you're necessarily going to be playing with like you would an action figure, but it's still very much kind of in that realm. He does, again, have a little bit of articulation, but he's not an action figure. I do think, however, you know, right out the gate, I think they really nailed him. I think he looks fantastic. I would go so far as to say that the well, maybe not likeness, but accuracy to the source material is a little bit better here than on the Ultimates, just by virtue of having a little bit more surface area to work with. I think again, not the likeness, but the overall appearance of the face and the head sculpt is a little bit better. He does kind of have that I'm a huge lifeless doll thing going on. But I think that the accuracy to the source material is pretty spot on when it comes to that head, when it comes to that cap in particular, and that feather sticking out of the side. I mean, this guy looks like he jumped right out of the screen. You've got, again, a tremendous amount of soft goods on him too, and that's definitely going to be one of the focal points for folks on this one, because he's legit wearing a full outfit here. You know, this very much goes almost into doll territory, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just that he's a fully clothed figure. So it's not just a vest like with the Ultimates. It's not just a cape like with our supersized Ben. This is a legit set of clothes. So he's got, like, you know, the lederhosen overalls thing going on, and the red and the stitching on the side looks fantastic. They have a really premium feel. It's not denim, but it definitely sort of feels like it's lending itself towards that. You've got actual button clasps on there, so you could take that off if you wanted to. He's got the full vest, which has a little bit of kind of like a felty texture to it, but it's got nice ribbon piping along the sides too, with a nice metallic gold color, so it kind of pops against that black. You've got the yellow shirt with the white kind of puffy collar, but I really like the blue bow tie. I think it absolutely kind of brings everything in, and it adds a very, very bright pop of color, especially when it comes to, you know, the yellow, black, and red in the chest. It's just it's going to draw you in, especially because of that finish. That metallic sheen is really bright and vibrant, and I think the clothes fit him really well. They don't necessarily restrict movement too much, because again, he is articulated, but they don't really get in the way. You might end up with some wrinkles depending on how you want to pose him. If you keep him in a certain pose for too long, but I think he looks really good just sort of standing still, saying, hey, you know, I'm a fully dressed Pinocchio on your shelf, looming over every other toy you own. Now, again, I did mention for the 50th time that he does have some articulation, and what I do like about this guy in comparison to our previous Disney Supersize is that he's a little bit more articulated, and I think that's just because of his design. So you've got a swiveling head on this guy, so you can rotate that head all the way around. You've got swiveling, rotating arms at the shoulder, of course, so they will rotate all the way around. And the arms do have to contend with that shirt a little bit, but they still can go all the way up, and you can get them in like a waving posture. And you also do get swiveling hands, because the hands are a separate piece, so they can rotate all the way around. And then you've also got swiveling legs. You do have to contend with the pants a little bit, but again, not too much, and you're not really going to be posing him to do much. I mean, it's not going to lend itself to being able to get him in dynamic poses, but the posability is there because, of course, he's comprised of separate parts. It's not all one big thing. So he does have a little bit of articulation. He's certainly not dynamic in any way, but I do think you can get him into at least a few poses and make him look a little bit more lively. You know, you can have his hand outstretched holding the Ultimates Pinocchio. I will show you that here shortly. And you can have him in like a waving pose or just standing there looking, I don't know, in many ways, slightly creepy as this lifeless puppet boy. And then, as I mentioned, here is some quick size comparisons between a few things. So you can see here we've got our Ben Ali, the one we previously reviewed, on the left. So you've got your massive gator. And then if you can make him out, we've got our, well, he's already pretty small. We've got our Super 7 Ultimates Pinocchio in the hand of our supersized Pinocchio. So you can see just how much of a discrepancy there is between these two lines. Granted that Pinocchio is of course very small, but I think it even more so hammers home just how big this guy is. Now beyond that, just to kind of emphasize it a little bit more, because of course this thing is very much in a scale and a league of its own, here is a Super 7 Ultimates from a different line. Here he is with one of the biggest thus far. Let's pop Bebop down there, and you can see just how big this thing is. So Bebop comes up to roughly midway on these guys, and he's already a really big figure. But when you put him in something like this, you know, they don't scale together at all. But I think it really shows just how big these guys are and how much they're going to dominate any kind of shelf space. So yeah, this guy is a lot of fun, and that's ultimately what I think this is going to come down to. This kind of figure, at least in the confines of what Super 7 is making right now, is a lot of fun. I think a lot of it comes down to the source material, of course, because it's Disney, so it's inherently going to be kind of a fun thing that maybe has a lot of nostalgia attached for you. I know so far a lot of this has for me personally. I'm not the biggest person when it comes to large format vinyl stuff. I'm not unfamiliar with it by any means, but it's never been a focus for me. That said, I could see how this could be a problem for someone because Super 7 is likely going to start pumping these things out, and I don't know, be worried about your shelf space, I suppose. But I think that Pinocchio is a really good candidate for this. He works really well because he literally is a figure. You know, he's a puppet, so it works well in the confines of this line. He's also incredibly cartoon accurate, and he's also fully clothed. I can't stress that enough. The clothing aspect of this line, I think, is what's going to set it apart, make it feel a little bit more premium. And of course, Pinocchio in particular, he's got a full getup on. He is fully clothed. Pants, vest, shirt, bow tie, the whole deal. He has got a ton of clothing on him, and it's all really, really nicely done, and it all looks fantastic. So if you're into this sort of thing, you know, just like with Ben Ali, this guy has got to be right up your alley, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with him. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Supersize Pinocchio. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.